What is up, everybody? I am Anthony, the Italian Ace, whatever you want to call me, and I am joined by my good friend and co-host for today's episode. Introduce yourself, my friend.
It is Tyler Peters. We still don't have a gimmick, but I'm happy to join you for the NXT Heat Wave review and results show, and it's always an honor, my friend, to bring a little bit of the Southern hospitality up there to Connecticut.
Ooh, yes, we definitely need some of that here because Connecticut is filled with a lot of irritable people lately. I guess is the word I would use, irritable.
Well, we have those here too. So
people who are cranky. But I feel like I haven't done an NXT recap in a really long time. To be honest, I haven't really watched it. I know you and I talked a little bit off air.
Sure.
It's been good. It's just there's been a lot of wrestling going on. But after Triple H took over, I said, you know what? I'm going to start something new. I'm going to start recapping again, starting with Heat Wave. So we are here to recap Heat Wave, and it was a good show. A lot of talent was utilized really well. And I thought it was cool to see what the NXT people were doing nowadays. I remember when it was the black and gold brand, and I was all into it there.
A lot of good memories from when it was that version of NXT. But this was a solid show. Of course, there's always going to be things we don't enjoy or like. That's with any fan.
Yeah, of course. And there is a lot to talk about from the night. But yeah, so right now I'm assuming at this point in time, Shawn Michaels is kind of running the show of NXT, if I'm correct.
I believe so, because he's also, if I'm not mistaken, over the UK brand now. It's going to be eventually Europe in 2023. Yep. And he got promoted. I forget the title now. That's how good my memory is.
Talent development.
There you go. Something along those lines. Thank you, sir.
Well, I just thought I would take a look too to kind of see what his idea of talent is, because if he's going to be developing and kind of sort of, he's pretty much kind of doing like a Jim Ross role, right? Like, what is he? Is he like
kind of like a talent relations type thing?
Okay.
Well, I know that would be Triple H. Realistically,
it's like making
currently
for people.
But it's kind of similar, I would think. But I've been known to be wrong, obviously. So.
Well, you're a Cornette fan, so I mean.
Well, hey, wait a minute. That's fighting words there, buddy.
I have to always throw out. I love Jim Cornette. I have to always.
Sure. No, I know you do. I'm giving you a hard time. That's going to be the running joke. We got to throw in Cornette.
That love it, man. Okay, so anyway, speaking of getting hot, this is the first time I'm talking about Jim Cornette. It is NXT Heat Wave 2022, and Paul Heyman did the voiceover for this. And I was kind of upset because I'm like, dude, aren't you supposed to be like fucked up and injured? Why are you talking for NXT? But it's okay.
But it's Paul Heyman. I mean, I get it. The old school mentality. You just spoke about it. Why didn't he sell it a little more? But I think he does a fabulous job narrating these videos. I mean, Paul Heyman is just not only a genius and so creative, but the way he can convey his words are just astonishing to me.
And I do respect the fact that Triple H, I like when people know that wrestling fans are smart. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, Heat Wave was an ECW pay-per-view. So obviously, why wouldn't you have Paul Heyman? I would have loved to have Joey Styles do it, though, to be quite honest. But Paul Heyman.
Yeah, Joey Styles is very talented, and he brought a lot of passion and energy. That's what made him so unique and set him apart from a lot of your even great wrestling broadcasters. Joey Styles made things his own.
Oh my God.
I was about to say somebody had to cue Ant to do the Joey Styles famous line just then.
Yeah, he was that's what, watching the wrestling is about, is hearing if I do a recap or like a watch along, it's hard because I want to hear the fans. I want to hear the announcers. So it's like, that's why I don't do watch alongs, because I need to feel it. But anyways, Heat Wave, it was good. Like I said, I like the fact that Triple H recognizes that we would remember this stuff. We're not that old.
No, I'm not old at all. I'm still in my 20s. Boy, that's a lie.
Yeah, well, sometimes, in this business, you gotta lie. You gotta
Uh,
lie.
well, to each their own. I didn't want to bury you there, but I'm staying away from that.
Well, I'm still in my 20s, so
Yeah, you still bragging, ain't you?
yeah, I'm
For
still,
us in our 30s, hey, you better enjoy them because they start going by quick.
yeah, it's coming up. I'll be 29 October 7th.
See,
So,
it's creeping up on you. The big 3-0. It's got one more year
uh,
after this one.
so here we go. We start off with the North American Championship on the line. The North American champion Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams defending against Giovanni Vinci. Uh, and he don't miss Carmelo Hayes. He's the North
No,
American.
he don't.
And both men, I am going into this match. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I knew a lot of Carmelo Hayes. I knew Vinci. We talked about this off air. He used to be a part of Imperium. So
Right.
Fabian Eichner, I think was his name, and I saw his work there. He was good as a tag team, but they rarely ever had him in singles competition. So I was excited to see sort of him going 1-on-1. So here are some quick notes. Hayes nails a springboard clothesline and gets a 2 count. Giovanni nails a springboard cross body, and then he chops Carmelo Hayes. Uh, Giovanni nails a moonsault, which gets a 2 count. And then Hayes nails a springboard leg drop across the ropes and gets a 2. Carmelo nails a modified cutter, which gets a 2 count. A lot of back and forth action with these two.
It was
Giovanni
very
nails,
good.
it was. He nails a springboard moonsault, but Carmelo Hayes puts his foot on the ropes. Hayes tosses Giovanni to the steps. However, Giovanni power bombs Carmelo onto Trick Williams, and then Giovanni power bombs Williams. However, Carmelo meets Giovanni with a Hurricane Rana quick roll up, and he gets a 3 count to retain the NXT North American Championship. I gave this match an A because it was quick. There wasn't a lot of stopping, which I liked. The pacing was really good. And
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes is great. Giovanni, I felt like showed himself off too. Like I wasn't going into thinking about him, but coming out of it, I was thinking more of him than Hayes. But great opening match. These guys are gonna fucking just when
I
they
think they're innovators, and it was hard hitting. It
yeah,
was definitely physical. I mean, it had some shades of classic wrestling, just with an updated, modern version, much like we're seeing with NXT. Whether people like it or not, this would be a match I think a lot of the older NXT fans or the ones that would stick around would enjoy.
yeah.
And it universally spoke that wrestling language that these guys are stars. I can see both Hayes and Vinci getting called up soon. But I realize why these guys need to stay down in NXT because they could be the new standard bearers. This gave Vinci an opportunity away from Imperial to flourish on his own and to show what he could do. And also Carmelo Hayes. That's why they've got him as the North American champion. But I could easily see this guy eventually feuding with some of the big stars that are on SmackDown and Raw eventually.
Imagine like a Hayes versus Ricochet or something like
Oh,
that.
that would be very cool because I believe their styles would probably mesh well. You brought up a tremendous observation there, Ant. And with Vinci, I mean, you could do a lot of fantasy booking. I would love to see his style match up with Champa, even some other NXT stars, AJ Styles. There's a plethora of
Yeah,
talent. Drew McIntyre. I mean, I could even see him working with the Scottish Warriors. So there's a
Gunther.
who's who.
I like to see him fight Gunther, his old
Yeah, Gunther. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
old
And
mentor.
yeah, some other Imperial members that would make for some intriguing television and also some great storytelling. I'm a big proponent of both Hayes and Vinci. I agree with you. I thought this was the way you start off your Heat Wave program
Yes.
featuring these two guys.
We then see Julius Creed of Diamond Mine backstage, and he says he saw something, and he's going to address what he saw in the ring tonight. So someone's been interfering and messing up with Diamond Mine lately. He's going to kind of reveal who it is, giving me like who ran over Stone Cold vibes.
Yeah, a lot of controversies. What we're talking about on the other program.
Yeah, man, back in '98. We then see Von Wagner doing a promo, and he says he will beat up people who are in his jungle. I haven't really gotten a chance to really see much of Wagner, so I can't really judge him, but he kind of looks scary, so I guess that.
Oh, he's intimidating. He's a big kid. He's second generation. I believe his father was one of the Beverly brothers, but I can't recall which one. But he's a huge man. I mean, he needs to be booked this way, being scary. Now, whether he's going to get over to the level that he should remains to be seen. But out of respect, I mean, visually, he looks very imposing. And I've only seen a little bit of him myself, so it's hard for me to really judge his gimmick and how he's been presented so far.
Yeah, you're right. That's so crazy that that is his dad. You are correct. He is the son of Bo Beverly.
Well, I had to research it too. I had to just throw it in the Google machine myself because I did not realize how many second generation stars in these newer classes, or at least recent classes of students.
Kind of looks like old school. Like he's like, oh, remember the old Geico caveman commercials where it's like if a caveman can do it, and he's like, really?
He would remind you of like the Neanderthal, but a bigger one, like a muscular one. And that's not a knock. He just has that kind of classic look. Like he's just a killer, that monster you need.
Yes, sir. Speaking about monsters, Diamond Mine comes out to the ring, and Julius grabs the microphone and he says, "We did it all for these NXT tag team titles. Someone is trying to bring down Diamond Mine, and that person is you, Roderick Strong." Then Roderick grabs the mic and he says, "Why are you blaming me? I brought you into NXT because I believed in you. You're the future of this place." Julius says, "No, we are the now." He says, "I know you're going to stab us in the back." And then, what is Julius's brother's name?
You know what?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Because here, to be fair, I have not got a chance to watch a lot of NXT till just recently. So I have to go back and do my homework on some of the names. But I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of the Creed brothers overall. And the Diamond Mine faction has a lot of talent. To me, I'm kind of glad maybe they'll wrap this storyline up because it's kind of fell flat to me, even with Roderick Strong being the villain, the heel. I've got nothing but respect for Strong. But I see this going nowhere. I don't think it's connecting with the audience like it should.
Brutus and Julius.
Okay, Brutus. I love the name.
So anyways, Julius, says rolls the tape and it shows footage of pretty much Tony D'Angelo looks to be winking at Strong. And he gets like he's getting signals at Strong and Strong is sending him signals, whatever. And before anything else can happen, Gallus from NXT UK come into the ring and attack Diamond Mine, including Roderick Strong, which, spoiler alert, just
Right.
Fast forward a little bit. They're supposedly going to be doing the NXT Worlds Collide again.
So that's why this made sense for Gallus to attack them and set up these matches or, feuds for the future even.
Yeah, because they're having, I think Worlds Collide this is going to be a crazy week for wrestling.
Right? Oh, I know. What is it? The same weekend there's WWE, including NXT and AEW all in one weekend.
There's it's Clash at the Castle on Saturday. Sunday is Worlds Collide, and also Sunday is All Out for AEW. So, and I'll be giving a recap for that. So,
you talk about a busy weekend. We're complaining about just weekly, but one weekend is going to have that much content. So I would imagine podcasters like me and you are going to be busy regardless of what we're covering. I mean, and for writers too that cover all this stuff. I mean, we are going to have our hands full.
Back to school, back to this. Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
I love the segue there, kind of recreating that TV transition. Now back to the show, your regular programming.
Back to school. Well, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be fun soon, September, right? But what did you think of seeing Gallus? So you like the idea of them potentially setting stuff up, but have you seen these guys before? What do you think of them?
I had seen Gallus. Now, being transparent, I've got a lot of admiration for what NXT did for the UK in Great Britain, the whole scene over there. And it pretty much was already adding a lot of the other European talent. If you think about Gunther and all those who are on the main roster now that eventually would come over to compete in the NXT in North America. I like Gallus. I think it's good because not only for Worlds Collide, it's just going to, freshen up everything, give the Creed brothers and the Diamond Mine some new opponents. So I concur that with the creative here, they don't want to make you think maybe that Roderick Strong may actually be innocent. He may not be the one at fault. I mean, you could go a lot of different directions, and that to me makes for a compelling case.
Yes, this is gonna be a great storyline. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen, but Gallus are fucking impressive.
They are, and I think it's going to help the storyline. I'll probably contradict my previous statement that this wasn't connecting with the audience, but I think you add Gallus and the whole invasion of the other NXT stars, that's what's going to give it the assist that it could use.
Yes. Well, speaking of yes, we see Roxanne Perez being interviewed backstage before her match, and her match with Cora Jade is up next. And Perez dives onto Cora outside of the ring. There's a lot of back and forth action with roll-ups between two of them, and they nail a double kick boot. Perez nails a Russian leg sweep and gets a 2 count. Cora nails a modified flatliner and gets a 2. And then Cora goes to hit Roxanne with the kendo stick, but Roxanne grabs it, but she does a whole babyface thing where she can't hit her with the stick. So Cora ends up grabbing it and nailing Roxanne with DDT on the kendo stick to get the win. So what'd you think of that one?
It was all the psychology with her having second thoughts, because as much as Cora Jade deserved it, I think they were painting that picture that, hey, listen, I still had that relationship as a friend. When speaking of Perez, I felt this was a decent match. It didn't deliver immensely for me, just my opinion on it. I felt it was still pretty decent. I like the upside to both Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. And I can see them having a bright future on the main roster. So the upside is definitely there. I just felt like Cora Jade pretty much dominated the match other than a few spots. I mean, that was just my takeaway. Ant, what were your impressions?
I didn't really care so much about this one because Cora Jade never really did it for me. When the whole situation with the skateboard breaking in half, that just kind of made this whole storyline like
Little hokey.
Yeah, but like it's the same thing they did with Bailey, where it's like the good person can't hit her with the kendo stick. It goes against her emotion. It's like, no, come on.
Against her morals or something. Yeah, and maybe trying to recreate, speaking of Bailey, some of that earlier NXT magic within this new 2.0 version. Possibly.
I just feel like it's gonna be a situation. I do like Roxanne Perez though. I think she's better than Cora. Cora doesn't bother me. I just feel like I just would rather see something new. Because
and you see it with Perez, to be fair.
Yeah, not for nothing. It's like, dude, like she fucking attacked you from behind. Did she try to like almost like run her over and shit? Like maybe not. I don't know.
She probably should have used the kendo stick then, because if somebody's going to run me over and do all these terrible things, then they're going to get their just due, and I'm going to beat the tar out of them with the kendo stick.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it makes sense.
But she did screw her out of the title. She attacked her with a crowbar. I mean, come on. Like there comes a point where it's like, I don't get, and even the fans.
You can see through it. Like it becomes a little too good.
Yeah, like if the fans are being like, "Don't do it," then maybe you can understand the character being like, "Okay," but like even the fans were like, "Hit her with it," and she just was like looking at it, like, "Oh, what should I do?" Like, hit her with the fucking kendo stick.
Wrestling's always been interesting, has it not? I mean, to our points here. I mean, doing the analysis, it's just when you think you've got it figured out, that's the beauty behind it. They always tend to make us think a different way.
Yeah. Well, speaking of thinking things a different way. We see the NXT UK Tag Team Champions Jensen and Briggs. They're backstage, and Gallus show up and they challenge them to a match next week on NXT 2.0. Gallus are former NXT UK Tag Team Champions. It's weird seeing these two sort of Southern guys being NXT UK Tag Champions, but yeah. So I guess just sort of promoting us for a match next week, which I'm excited to see. We'll see what these guys do.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point that it is definitely unique seeing these guys from the South compete against these British guys, but I think it's going to actually be pretty good matchup, and it's just another way to kind of give the younger guys who are the NXT UK Tag Team Champions some more experienced workers to help get them even more established to more of the global audiences. And that's why I think the move, why they were competing for the UK brand. So it makes a lot of sense, at least for me.
Yeah, I agree. I am excited to see the Southerners versus the Brits. I just think that I'm always about, and I can't judge because I don't watch NXT UK, but I've always been about like if you are that brand's champion, you need to also be on that show. And I haven't seen them on it. I mean, and I haven't seen NXT UK, so I could be wrong, but like
they need to represent being the champion, and to your observation right then, that they need to be more full time if they're going to be over there compared to just showing up. It kind of reminds you of the draft. We're seeing like a lot of intermingling of all the superstars, which can work for Worlds Collide. That kind of correlates, but when you're doing it too much, like we would see with a lot of the main roster drafts, it got convoluted and where you got confused. Like I thought these were supposed to be separate brands.
Yeah. Well, speaking about separate, another segue. These two guys have been going at it for months. We're going to finally see the street fight, all or nothing. Santos Escobar versus Tony D'Angelo. If Santos loses, he is fired from NXT forever. And it's all or nothing. We see Legado walk outside with Santos before the match. And here are some notes. Santos tosses a chair at Tony, and then a knee to the face. Tony suplexes Santos onto chairs. Santos dives onto Tony outside the ring, and then Tony accidentally runs into Elektra Lopez outside. A lot of action between these guys, but the ending comes when Tony nails Santos with a crowbar to get the win, and now Santos Escobar is out of NXT 2.0.
Which makes us think that eventually he may show up on Raw or SmackDown even as soon as this week, because to me, that seems like, hey, we know this guy's a star. He's put in enough work and time to get some of these new guys over. So the timing seems fitting to bring him up.
Yeah, it's going to be a different climate now with WWE, so I'm excited to see what Santos Escobar is going to bring to the table and what he's going to do on the main roster. But yeah, he's gone from
it. It's going to be exciting, and I thought this was okay. I mean, I'm not big on the gimmick matches, and I guess the corny segments with Tony D'Angelo kind of reminiscing like they wanted to create a mafia movie against a Latino street gang, even though you could make a story out of that. It people kind of see through it. And to me, I was kind of glad this culminated, or at least was the finale would be the proper term, because it kind of became a little talking about seeing through things. I don't know what your take, because you're a guy that's Italian. Did you enjoy that aspect?
Well, I like seeing the idea of an Italian person. But
I'm not knocking that. I just mean from a storyline point of view. I feel like they kind of stereotype a lot of people out of respect to their heritage, and maybe that's wrong for me because I'm an outsider looking in, so to speak.
Well, I do agree with you. Every Italian gimmick there usually is out there is some sort of like mob stereotype. But I'm a big heel fan. I love the heels. So I'm like, yeah. But I do think that they should do something a little bit different.
And I guess that's been a wrestling formula, especially going back to the McMahon family, because they kind of did that with Bruno. He was the baby face, but he was representing the Italians. He was. You talk about, parallels with modern and then classic vintage wrestling. I mean, hey, San Martino and those guys, it doesn't get much better.
That's what I was thinking of. It's like those were the original dudes who sort of did it all. But like Tony D'Angelo's doing pretty good. I can't hate on him. But I do think that they should
Oh,
sort
I
of.
think he's got a lot of potential, and I think his partner is very talented. I've seen him on the Indies under a different name, and he's got a great future ahead. I think it'll be better for him to separate himself if they want to go that route from D'Angelo and let D'Angelo just be on his own. I think once you've been in a group, after a while, that's going to get tiring, and they want to see you repackaged in a certain way.
Well, speaking of repackaging, Indy Hartwell is backstage and she gets a letter with a sign on the back saying Index Forever. It's a drawing of Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell going back to the days when they got married. And Blair Davenport shows up, and she's from NXT UK. She's also from AEW. She was known as, oh God.
Yeah, Bea Priestley.
Yes, sir. And Davenport shows up and she rips up the letter. It basically says that she's here now. So again, we're seeing NXT UK show up. I mean, here's my question though. No offense to Davenport, but I want to see Mako Satomura. Is that her name?
I think you're correct.
I want to see her. If she's the NXT UK Women's Champion, I want to see her get in there and mix it up with someone we're going to be talking about after the break, who was one of my favorites, Miss Mandy Rose. I mean,
yeah, if you want to go big, you want to have their champion, take on the NXT challenger on their behalf and stuff. But yeah, Blair Davenport, that was pretty cool. And the whole Index thing with Dexter Lumis being part of the rehires by Triple H since taking the helm and Andy Hartwell. But I wonder, there's an audience that can appreciate this, but for me, I'm going to be a critic of it. It was okay for the first little bit, but I don't get it, and I don't want to see it drawn out. I hope we see an end to this.
Yeah. Well, speaking of an end, Tyler, I want to send you something before we go on break. Our next match is for the NXT Women's Championship. The NXT Women's Champion, Mandy Rose, lady with Toxic Attraction.
Yeah, important match.
Zoey Stark. Now, I want to send you two pictures here. Let's look on your Facebook for this. I want to see your reaction live on here. We're going to have to zoom in probably. But I want to get your take on these
all right.
Doctored or anything.
I'm going to look now. That's probably the message notification that came through.
This takes place during the match.
Just give my internet time to come up. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it's like me. It's slow. We're down south. What can you expect?
All right. I was excited for the match, though, because anytime you see Mandy, you get a very nice video package of Mandy Rose and her title defenses and her just holding the title looking good and everything like that, which is great to see.
Yeah, she's had quite a run as the women's champion for the NXT brand. And my only thought, as much as we think a lot highly of her, as far as she does have talent, she's very attractive. That's evident. To me, though, how far can she go? Because I believe this may end up holding her down a little bit. I'm coming at it from a little bit more of a unpopular take.
Yeah, well, of course, it would be coming from a Jim Cornette fan. He's all about doing the
now. Listen, buddy. Now watch out. Now I'm gonna have to go to Wendy's after this.
No, but I hear you though. I mean, we're in a weird time, and this is one of my topics.
No, we are
with Carlos on Raw. It's almost like the women are being sexualized, but we're not supposed to view them as that way. Like, so it's like you're in a confusing point because it's like, well, if we're not supposed to, then it's almost like then stop doing it. Stop putting it like it's weird. It's a weird.
Well, I think that the problem is we've saw the Charlotte Flairs, we're seeing the Becky Lynches, we saw the Sasha Banks and all these ladies. Bailey's came back, and we've saw the NXT call ups from Io Sky and then Dakota Kai, and then we're seeing Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, and it's like women's wrestling's being taken more seriously again, or has been for the past several years. even when Trish and Lita, they were having serious matches. It wasn't all about the bra and panties. Now, I'm not going to say I wasn't enjoying it. I'm going to be honest, but is this the kind of presentation that you want to build your company on? And I think finally we start seeing more of the actual women wrestling and not so much the sexualization as you were alluding to there.
100%. I mean, but when you see many roads, it's hard to do that. But we're gonna take a quick break.
Oh, I can agree.
When we come back, we're gonna discuss the NXT Women's Title match and the NXT Championship and a new man called the Super Diva. We'll come back and we'll be stay with us, man. The Heat Wave getting hot. We'll be back. Welcome back. And before we continue talking about Heat Wave, I just want to let you know where you can find the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. We are available wherever podcasts are streaming, including places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Amazon Music, Castbox, iHeartRadio, wherever podcasts are streaming, wherever you listen to yours, check us out. Give us a 5-star rating or whatever rating you can give us. I hope, like Tyler usually says, that 100 out of 100.
I hope it's a 10-star rating.
That's right, man. But if it's not 10 stars, give us the highest that you can and listen to us, whether it's on your way to work, on your home from work. Just come listen. I know a lot of people have been saying they've been listening to our recaps instead of watching some of their actual stuff. I've been seeing people say that on Facebook, so that's cool too. So do that. But
that's a compliment.
Yes. Also check us out on YouTube. You can search the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. You can subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content comes out. And it's so easy when you hit it's like a little alarm bell thing looking. You hit it, and you get a little text to your phone anytime a new episode drops on YouTube. So do that and leave a comment. We're getting a lot of comments. We read the comments on here, and we like to interact with you guys too. So definitely do that. And Tyler, if you don't mind quickly just telling fans where they can check you out when you're not on here with us at the Uncensored.
I don't mind at all. You can check me out on the Rewind Wrestling Radio podcast. They are on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as well as on YouTube. You can like, follow, and subscribe to the Rewind Wrestling Radio Network, or just podcasts in general. And then also Standing Strong with Waylon Myers, the same thing. It's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on those pages. And you can find that podcast on YouTube. So go like, follow, subscribe. Also, back when, still the debut episode. There'll be more new episodes coming very shortly. And that's on, I believe, some of the similar platforms. There's a recurring theme on Spotify and everything else, part of the SJP network of podcasts. Got a lot of phenomenal content, pardon the pun, and with respect to AJ Styles. And I'm probably leaving out somebody, forgive me. And of course, WrestleBuddy.com. You want the latest news regarding wrestling. You want all the opinion pieces, maybe just podcast overall, then WrestlingBuddy.com is your source, your destination at.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And also, I just want to say we will be having a special episode this week on Friday. We have a special interview with the director of the documentary, The Ballad of Gia and Frank. His name is John.
How cool.
And we're going to be having a good talk. It's a very interesting documentary. It's been picked up in different film festivals and will be in India as well soon. So it's very cool. Documentary is very interesting. And what's cool about this doc is John actually found every footage that's in the documentary online. So he did this all himself. And it's a very interesting documentary, kind of creepy. There's a little stuff to it. So
it's got a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And we'll break it down more. Break it down.
Yeah, where's DX at?
Where are they? We do obviously have our Attitude Years episode dropping Monday, which is today, and also Thursday. So we're excited for that. And yeah, Raw's recaps coming up, Class at the Castle. Also special on Wednesday, I will be dropping our Broken Skull Sessions recap with Y2J Chris Jericho. This is a huge 2-hour episode. It's not going to be that long, my recap, obviously, but there was a lot of information that Jericho talked about. It was interesting about some backstage stories. Just remember.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, so that's dropping. I try to when I do it, I don't try to go full in. I try to just give like a quick synopsis of what the important bullet points were, and I always
Instead of doing too detailed, because you just mentioned it, 2 hours. That people don't realize that's a lot of transcribing and writing, even if you're just paraphrasing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of pages on there. There's a lot. But speaking of a lot, did you get a chance to see those pictures that I had sent to you, sir?
Oh, I did. Trust me, I was focused on them.
So there was a huge nip slip that Mandy Rose happened to have on the show, and
Oh, really?
I'm not one to be shy and not talk about it. It happened. It was there, and I was happy. I can't complain. I'm a red-blooded American boy. I can say I'm okay.
I don't think anybody's complaining. I didn't say a word. I'm defending it. I've tried to be morally good, but I've got my moments. I'm human.
Listen, the Italian ace is a fucking pervert, so that's fine. But let's discuss the match.
No, you're not. You're an upstanding citizen who just appreciates culture. That's all.
Yep. So
I'm with you.
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the match now. So we see Zoey nailing a flying punch. Mandy sends Zoey into the announce table and slams Zoey's injured knee into the table, which is weird. So that actually happens. Toxic ended up tripping Zoey, so the referee kicks Toxic Attraction out of ringside, and we see Nikita Lyons show up and she attacks them, taking them out. She ain't playing no more.
Yeah, she evened up the odds because they were going to be in that tag team tournament on SmackDown, but things changed.
Yes, sir. Zoey nails a clothesline, and Mandy Rose nails a right knee, which gets a 2 count. Mandy trips up Zoey in the ropes, and then she attacks the knee and exposes Zoey's knee pad. She nails her running knee to the face again and gets a 2. And then finally, Mandy puts Zoey's knee brace on her own knee and runs a last knee to the face and gets a 3 count, retaining the NXT Women's title. What are your thoughts?
I thought it was a pretty decent matchup. I'm high on Zoey Stark as far as overall ability and talent in the ring. It's not a knock against Mandy Rose. I think this was a good move to send Mandy Rose back down to NXT, and eventually I think she will be back on the main roster. And I think that's always a goal for anybody who signs that WWE contract. I'm only speaking from my vantage point here. Toxic Attraction, they were there to distract, literally, and of course, match wise, and that's why you had Nikita Lyons get her involved at the time. It made sense from the fact these two were aligned as a tag team, so she would come out and make a big impact. And Zoey Stark to me will be a future NXT Women's Champion. It's just not the right timing because Mandy Rose, they're still pushing her heavily, which I always am a big fan of long title runs. So I get why they're doing it.
She was
Yeah, you whispered her name. Quit doing that. That's now I'm distracted.
I was distracted by this. We see a new superstar, well, a new wrestler named Quincy Elliott, and he is the Super Diva. He's coming soon to NXT. Did you get a chance to see this?
I did, and I've seen pics of him talking about an enigma, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I haven't got a chance to see him wrestle.
He's giving me Sunny Kiss vibes.
I think that's what they're going for, and this is not a knock, but I don't see where I'm going to be very high on it, and that's not because of I know what people are going to say or assume. That's not it at all. It's just it ain't my cup of tea or cup of coffee.
Well, you know, a Jim Cornette fan is not going to be a fan of this.
Oh, now stop it. You're just going to get me in trouble. No, you ain't going to see this in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You're probably correct. And I know it's a different time.
I think I don't know what they're trying to do here. Like I read, and again, it's not a knack. Like be who you are, love who you are, whatever.
I feel you.
But my thing is with this situation, um, Velveteen Dream was a little bit different for me. Even Gold was a little bit different because they. This is just a complete. I don't even know. I don't know if I want to even
I
talk
mean, they
about
stood
this.
out, but yeah, this is a definitely one of those topics maybe we should stray away from. And
We'll have
as
to
I
talk
laugh,
about
not
it.
being mean, it's just now I'm.
We'll talk once he wrestles and once we're able to actually judge him.
And I think that's fair. That way we can really recap it or review or with Carlos, because I know he normally joins you on these shows. I'm just being a substitute for today's program. So, yeah, but that's the thing for all of us. We got to wait and see with him.
It's Quincy Elliott. We'll see. Speaking of that, Grayson Waller is backstage and he gets into it with Mackenzie Mitchell and he trashes Apollo Crews. And Waller will debut his talk show, The Grayson Waller Effect, next week. And Apollo Crews will be his first guest. Grayson Waller is a really good heel. There's something about him that's interesting.
Yeah, he gets on your nerves. You want to see him get beat up, and that he's doing his job.
He's doing a great job at that. Well, we have come to the end of our show. The NXT Championship is on the line. The NXT Champion Bron Breakker, son of Rick Steiner, defending against JD McDonough. Is that what they're calling him?
I think so. Madonna, I said Madonna. Listen to me. Yeah, it's kind of tough to say, but he used to be Jordan Devlin, or that was his name in the UK brand.
The Irish Ace. That's where I
took the Irish Ace. Yeah,
that's where I got the Italian Ace, man. But now
you stole his gimmick. You just made it because you're Italian and he's Irish.
Well, I didn't so much steal it. I just made it better.
Oh, so you improved upon it. Okay.
Yeah, I did what he couldn't do. So Ron comes down with a sledgehammer and he breaks the box with JD's names on it. I'm kind of getting initials. I'm kind of getting tired of seeing this thing where he's just breaking things.
It's doing nothing for me. This whole match was a letdown. I mean, these guys are talented. We just talked about he was the Irish Ace and Rick Steiner. This is his son, Bron Breakker. I want to keep calling him Steiner because he looks so much like his dad and his uncle Scott.
Steiner. We're going to call him Steiner.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he should be Bron Steiner or something like that, but Bron Breakker. So that's what's throwing me off. And, you know, it was an okay match. I get where from the storytelling aspect, you know, JD was more the surgeon here, more technical, and you had Breakker who possesses all the power and strength game and everything, but it just I don't know. I don't know that I could get into it. I'm not sure the fans in Orlando were buying into it. And this is supposed to be the main event for Heat Wave for a big program. Now I know it's not a premium live event or pay-per-view, but it would be an equivalent to it or close.
Well, this is gonna be fucked up, but here's my opinion. I honestly think if you look at the common denominator, it's usually Bron Breakker. His matches haven't been good. He's been having these main event matches, and they're not great.
He still needs time.
Yeah, like he keeps fighting all these people, and it's like, I mean, he fought Ciampa, that wasn't good. Didn't he fight Cameron Grimes at one point?
I think so. He fought Grimes as well, to your point.
Like he's fighting all these people and they're not great. And I don't want to blame anybody, but you kind of have to. He's been dating Cora Jade too. That doesn't really matter, but I just want to throw that out there for people who don't know.
Yeah, they confirmed that on social media. Yeah, go ahead. You can talk about the match.
Bron nails a walking delayed suplex, which is cool. He nails a belly to belly and then a standing moonsault gets a 2 count. JD nails a neck breaker across the steel truss, holding the turnbuckle in place. That was cool. Breaker nails a Frankenstein, which gets a 2 count. JD nails a Spanish fly off the top rope and a brain buster, which only gets him a 2 count. Braun spears JD twice. JD then smiles, and Breaker nails a 3rd spear and a military press slam and gets a 3 count win. After the match, before Breaker can continue celebrating the win, NXT UK champion Tyler Bate comes out, and spoiler alert for those of you who are watching UK, the UK title tournament still hasn't ended yet, but if they're going to talk about it on TV, we're going to have to talk about it on here. So NXT UK champion Tyler Bate comes out and he stands face to face with the NXT champion Bron Breakker. So what do you think? This match, I think, will be the one to test if Breakker is ready or not, because Tyler Bate can have a good match.
Oh, Tyler Bate, if there's something wrong, if you can't put together a match with him, because his resume speaks for itself. Bron Breakker, I can see where he's been rushed a little bit because of his look, his size, and being that lineage of the Steiners and everything. Definitely has a lot of the potential. I mean, that's obvious. That's kind of a no-brainer, where he wouldn't have held the championship and retained it in this match. I just don't. I don't know. It's hard to think of the right terminology when describing what Breakker needs or could use. I mean, this was a good opponent for him, the Irish Ace, JD. And I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to mess it up. So that's why I'm refraining from that. Yeah. No, you were fine. Quit beating yourself up. And yes, Cornette rules. I'll just throw that in there. And but I think Bron Breakker, he's limited. So he's kind of getting, on match training by these other opponents. And there's so much that probably JD was able to throw into the match setup and Breakker as well. So they were only able to do so much. So that's why I think it's the fans' fault, because we have these high expectations, and we have to remember that a lot of these guys are newer and they're getting into a newer system. So that's where we have to kind of take a step back, and we're probably a little bit too unfair, because I admire him. I wish I could do some of the moves he could in the ring and be that big and have that kind of physique. But I mean, it is what it is. We got to give our opinions. And I hate to say this match was disappointing to be the main event and for the NXT Championship.
Well, also too, I just want to say really quick, I think we're on the same wavelength here, because I was just about to add a point that it matches your point, that like I'm used to seeing Johnny Gargano versus Andrade, Johnny Gargano versus Ciampa, Adam Cole versus Gargano, Balor versus Joe, like
right.
Balor versus O'Reilly. But these guys are legit dudes that have been in there longer. They made the transition to newer guys because they wanted NXT to be more developmental. It was becoming so good that it was actually
they did
the main brand. And so now you have these young guys who really, some of them can hold it, but that's where I don't understand. This is where I don't get with WWE.
All right.
I understand Carmelo Hayes isn't the biggest guy, but in my eyes, he's probably the one that stood out to me during this whole show. Him and just give him.
He did that first match to me was probably the best match, actually. I mean, no disrespect to any other match on the card, but those guys really stood out to me. I can see where you're coming from. They made an impression quickly, and they have been prior with their matches with other people. It's just this match for the North American Championship.
I think too with Braun, sorry to cut you off. I think he needs the Roman treatment. And again, I'm a heel guy. I love
where he was forced a little bit, I think, to be positioned. They pushed him quickly.
I think they needed to drop the I'm Smiley Bron Breakker. He comes out with sledgehammer breaking things and he's smiling happy. No, you have to be a nightmare. You have to, if you're that big and jacked, you can't be a friendly guy. If you're friendly, you have to be protecting somebody to be friendly. You can't just be going out in the world being that big.
Turn up his aggression more.
He's like trying to be like Kurt Angle almost, and it's weird to me because it's like you're a fucking big dude. Have him lose a title and then just fucking annihilate the people and then build them up and then have him win it again. Because with Roman, they hated him. I was always a Roman fan. Even when they were booing him, I was a big Roman fan. But when they turned him heel, now what does everybody do?
They're over the moon. I mean, that was the best move they could have made, because they were forcing him so much, because they tried it before and he wasn't getting over with the people. Yeah. They were getting sick of him, and now he's their biggest star. I mean, he's even bigger than what people would imagine him.
And what's sad too is you and I both really don't watch NXT religiously, and for us to know that Breakker has had bad match after bad match is kind of sad, because it's like I feel bad for the people who watch him weekly.
I feel bad for the audience, but I feel bad for the talent. I do feel bad for Breakker, because I want to see him succeed, and I think he is in some ways, but it's just not. It's not connecting for some reason.
If this was like 2003, it would. I see him like when I see his style, it's cool. I like him because he brings me back like when he wears the leather jacket and the fucking like it reminds me of
It's
that.
reminiscent of his family. I hate to keep going to that point, but I mean, this guy's a Steiner. You do get those feels. This is just the newer generation of Rick and Scott. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
and one more thing I was going to add, and I don't mean to cut you off either,
no,
but
you go ahead.
to your point about Samoa Joe, Johnny Gargano, and Ciampa, all those guys, they were seasoned elsewhere before they came to NXT. Adam Cole and those guys, so that made a huge difference.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame though because here's what bugs me about WWE at the time. They didn't want to push these indie guys, and they were the ones that were stealing the show every night. So it's almost like I get annoyed because these are the guys that I enjoyed. But also I was a big Mauro Ranallo fan, so I enjoyed the sort of weird.
Oh, I was a big fan of Ronaldo as well. He brought a passion, kind of like Jim Ross used to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not mean to demean JR. He's just in a different role right now compared to what he was when we're doing the Raw recaps. But even those, you can feel his intensity calling the matches. So I'm a huge fan of Morrow's as well. And also, we just have to put in retrospective that, this is a different NXT. I think as much as we love the black and gold brand, and it was revolutionary at the time and what division Triple H had and all the stars you aforementioned, I think that's the big key, though, is it depended on which independent talent, though, because you didn't want to take every independent wrestler. There was a lot that were going to have the same struggles, as we would see even a Bron Breakker coming from a different backgrounds. They talked about WWE signing all these different athletes, which I get because that's not an uncommon theme. If you think about it, Paul Orndorff was out of a football career, and he became one of the best wrestlers of all time. I mean, one of the greatest heels.
Yes, I agree with you. So let me just go over quickly what is supposed to happen next week on NXT 2.0. And next week, we did talk about this earlier. The Grayson Waller effect will debut with guest Apollo Crews. We then have Gallus taking on the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. Now that you say the father is bull, I'm going to try to figure out which one. I have to look and see which one it is. And also, this match will be interesting. Tiffany Stratton taking on Wendy Chu in a lights out match.
How could I forget that? And they even had a segment, but trying to piece it all together sometimes, especially when it's been a week after, is a little tough sometimes.
Yeah, and it was, I don't know, weird situation here with that.
And Apollo Crews, I think he's going to be challenging Breakker because he teased that anytime they look at the belt, it's like, well, that may be a possible contender in the future.
Could be. Very well could be. Well, that is it for our NXT Heat Wave.
We're done already?
We are done already, my friend. It was a pretty quick show. I'm surprised how fast it went by. It could have gone a bit better, but that's just my take. What would you give this show? What do you rate it from A, B, or C?
I'd still give it a C.
C.
If it wasn't for that opening match, I would have even tried to maybe give it a B, but that would have been a little too kind because if I'm going to be completely open here, this just whole event did not live up to the expectation, and whether fair or unfair, I don't know. I think you still got to give it a C. I mean, if it wasn't for that opening match, it may even be a lower grade, or at least a C minus. How do you do the school rating? I mean, it's been so long since I've been in school, so
I just do listen. If you get a C, you suck. If you get an A, you're great.
Yeah, well, it definitely didn't deserve an A or a B, but I'd give it a C. And that's probably harsh, but there was so many matches and even angles that were disappointing. I can't help it.
Well, we will see y'all later in a little bit. We're going to be dropping our Attitude Years episode 26 recap, I think.
I think so. We're on what? We were at the 1st of May last one, so it'd be the 2nd week of May, I guess.
Yeah, it will be covering May 11th. They're live in Baltimore.
Yes, May 11th. I have to keep up with all these dates. Ant does such a wonderful job.
I have to. Is episode 26. I feel so happy when I get my episodes right. So stay tuned for that.
I'm looking forward to it.
And yeah, thank you for checking out NXT Heat Wave. We will be back next week with our NXT 2.0 recap. Tyler, thank you for joining me.
Oh, no problem. Happy to.
Stay safe, y'all, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.